What's up, old school metal vinyl fanboys? Welcome back to the channel. Some really sad news reached us in the last 2 weeks, unfortunately. As you certainly heard by now, our dear brother Thomas Lindberg, also known as Tompa, sadly passed away after a battle with cancer. I was deeply saddened by the news because not only he was a great singer, that goes without saying, but also he was a great, nice person, which is something, a combination you don't really find in metal these days that often. I hold a lot of respect for the guy as a human being. He was a total anti-fascist dude, came from the punk scene from his own country, never afraid of speaking out his mind on hot topics. And I had the privilege to meet him shortly, some 15 years ago, before a gig he had with the Disfear during his time with the band. We had like a 25 to 30 minutes discussion covering different, things from old Grotesque days up to politics. And when it comes to politics, we agreed 100% on whatever we said. I don't want to, get too deep into the details of our conversation because it was a private one, but yep, I can tell you the guy was as Antifa as it can possibly get, so we definitely lost one brother, and the void he leaves will not be replaced. And of course, his work as an artist was had a huge impact on me as a death metal fan back in the late 90s, late 80s, early 90s, as well as a huge inspiration when I decided to start my channel, which you can definitely tell by the fact that, there's the grotesque artwork as profile picture. So the least I could do was dedicate a video to the guy and gathering some of my very fave Tompa records. Mind you, I could have chosen 30 different records because, the amount of great albums he sang on are just endless, more or less. I decided to stick to a one release only per band rule, so that this video will hopefully be contained in a half an hour chat. Mind you, these are all 10 out of 10 albums, total metal masterpieces, which deserve to be in pretty much every collection. Don't consider the order I'm presenting them with too strictly, except for maybe position number one, because they all deserve to be in every serious collection around. Starting with position number 5, Skit System. Skit System was a band that Tompa sang on in the first two albums of theirs. This is the second one, Enkel Resa till Randstenen. It's total punk, hardcore, old school punk, hardcore attack, mercilessly brutal from start to finish. This is the kind of punk, hardcore stuff that I like the most. I'm a moderate fan of modern punk hardcore. I still listen to stuff like Hatebreed, nothing against it, but when it comes to the old school, that's where my heart mainly beats for. Bands like Discharge and some of the Exploited, early Bad Religion, you name it, and Skit System definitely belongs to that category of bands. This is a perfect album, both on musical and lyrical terms, and I will show you why, because this is a 100% anti-fascist record, just like the band is anti-fascist, and I want to piss off the black metal chimps listening to this by quoting the band, what they're saying to the notes to one of their songs. This is completely sung in Swedish, so they left some notes for each and every track. Referring to Jag talar för der tista, apologize to my Swedish followers for my poor pronunciation. As long as we sit around and won't react, the racist and neo-Nazi movement will grow stronger. If we don't say no, nor dare to speak up for what is wrong, shit will grow bigger and bigger. React. This was, mind you, written in 2001, and my goodness, how spot on they were. They were 100% right on the subject. Neo-Nazis have, as you know, taken the scene by storm. There's a much bigger, number of right-wing D-bags around in metal nowadays than leftist people like myself, but who cares as long as we can expose their delusional ideas. And this is a record that does exactly that, exposing fascists for the lame losers that they are. So props to Skit System, they're still active these days. Go and support them. They just recently announced a new gig with, I believe, a Wolf Brigade, so absolutely killer release. The only minor complaint I have concerning this album has nothing to do with the musical quality, which is absolutely sheer perfection, but with the fact that the last 3 songs on side B suffer from unbearable surface noise, at least on my copy. Now, I have no idea if it's just my copy being flawed or if it's, as I believe, a matter of like a pressing plant not doing its job the way they were supposed to. If you have a copy yourself, let me know down in the comments what it sounds like. I tried my own copy on 2 different turntables. The result was the same. Lots of surface noise. Other than that, this is a great band, great release, definitely needs to be in your collection, and Skit System, being anti-fascists, may the spirit of Commandant Ernesto Che Guevara be with you. Position number 4 to The Crown, Crowned in Terror. Now, I've never been the biggest The Crown fan on earth. I got to know the band when they were still called Crown of Thorns. I was never really impressed by their early releases, but they do have 2 killer albums under their belt. One of which being Death Race King, and the other one, it's Crowned in Terror, which is, in my opinion, the best album in their discography. And guess what? Tompa took part of it. Sadly, it was the only album where Tompa laid his vocals on, but my goodness, this is literally a killer record. Death Trash Grenade, my favorite songs: Crowned in Terror, Drugged Unholy, and Death Metal Holocaust. This can still be found, I would say, for regular prices, so you don't have to sacrifice your left kidney to obtain an original. It was pressed by Metal Blade, which is a guarantee for good pressing quality. I'm sure it has been re-released, but as I said before, if you can find a second-hand copy in good conditions, try to go for the original. Again, a great album highlighted by Tompa's vocals. As I said before, like, the guy had the power to make even mediocre music. Not saying that this album is mediocre music by any stretch of the imagination, but he could like literally turn everything into gold. That's how talented and how good of a vocalist he was. And sorry for repeating myself, but that's how big respect I have for Tompa. Third position to reserve for one of my all-time favorite punk slash hardcore releases. Again, this is the old school hardcore punk that we are talking about. Disfear, Leave the Storm. This is another grenade. I said it, used this word twice, but that's the best definition I can come up with. The intensity on this album is just incredible. This is like a Raining Blood type of intensity, if you believe it or not. This one hits you in the teeth like, I don't know, prime Mike Tyson. That's just, taking no prisoners. This is like what I would say, like an album with no weak moments whatsoever. I remember when I first played this album, it literally blew me out of my shoes, and to these days it still has the same effect. I was playing it just yesterday, and absolutely killer record, no other words to describe it. Tompa was like on fire literally on this record, and I was lucky enough to see them live when he was still in the band. Definitely one of the most intense shows of my life, and one of the most beautiful memories from my career as a metalhead, or if you wish to call it that way. Next up, position number 2, it's of course At the Gates. I mean, how could I possibly forget At the Gates? My choice went to The Red in the Sky is Ours. Now, granted, I could have picked just about any of the first 4 releases by the band, first 4 full length releases by the band. But this one holds a special place in my heart because it was my introduction to the band. I remember watching the clip they filmed for Kingdom Gone back in, I believe it was 1992 or something. And just like that, when I heard that song, I just had to rush to the store and buy my copy. I bought both the vinyl and the CD of it, and of course got it signed by Thomas when I had a chance to meet him. This is a total masterpiece. Like the thing that really impresses me about this album is how young the guys were, and yet how tight musicians they managed to be at such young age. Like the songwriting on this album is so bloody spot on and so bloody precise. It's really unbelievable. It's one of those bands that managed to combine virtuoso like technical skills with incredibly catchy songs, because most of the times, when you have extremely technical bands in metal, you also don't get catchy songs. But At the Gates were masters at this game. It is where they excelled really. Every song on this album is memorable, has memorable refrains and riffs. They even have a violin player on top of that. Like, what else do you need? Mind you, these are records which I will never sell in my life. These are, played such a huge role in shaping me as a teenager as well as an adult. They still have an importance for me, so they are definitely following me. I stated in one of my previous episodes, I'm about to move to another country, and these records are definitely coming with me. Favorite song of mine on this album is definitely Kingdom Gone, which might as well be my all-time favorite At the Gates, a song next to Rape by the Light of Christ. But again, whatever album you choose by the band, you can't possibly go wrong with At the Gates, at least with the split up releases, because the stuff that they released after the reunion is kind of subpar, still good, but not on par with the first four albums. Last but not least, position number one, of course, goes to Grotesque. Like, how could it be any other way? Like, if you know this channel, I have like. In my opinion, Grotesque, next to this album, especially next to Master's Hammer Ritual, is the best black metal album ever released, and I still stand by that opinion. I mentioned it in the past, it still holds up very, very well. Now, the choice was between Incantation and In the Embrace of Evil. I decided to go with The Embrace of Evil because it's like a collection of the best moments of the band, including the two songs they released after they got back together in the studio in 1996, namely Church of the Pentagram and Rip from the Cross, which are my favorites, next to Blood Runs from the Altar and Submit to Death. But every single second on this record is just sheer brilliance. There isn't really a weak second on this record. This is all that black metal is about, in my opinion. No political bullshit, no, like blast beats. I mean, there is some blast beats, but they're very carefully used, like the drummer knows he's a shit. 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10, 12 out of 10 record. This is the original first press, released by Dolores Records, or better said, Black Sun Records, in 2002, which was actually Dolores Records under a different name after they went out of business. First press in red splatter vinyl. It has been reissued a number of times, so whatever version you can come up with, just go for it if you don't have it already, because this is one of those eternal masterpieces of metal. Closing the episode with two honorable mentions, the two albums that Night Rage released with Tompa in the lineup. They're absolutely great albums. I wouldn't say they are on par with the 5 LPs that you have just seen, but they're definitely worth being checked out if you have the chance to. Unfortunately, I can't show them because the Smart Me sold them some years ago. Not exactly the most brilliant decision of my life, but they are still easily obtainable, so sooner or later I will buy them again. Don't get me wrong, they're not, I'm saying it again, they're not on the same quality level as the At the Gates, Grotesque, and the other albums you've seen, but they're definitely good enough to be checked out. And of course there's the highlight of Tompa's vocals, which you just can't possibly miss. So that pretty much does it for the musical content of this episode, but this is not enough because now comes, what I call the fun part of this episode, because I will apologize to you guys, but I have to take a couple of minutes or perhaps even more to answer some dude who was kind enough to dedicate me not just a reel like last time. Last time, there was this dude who dedicated me a reel. He called me all sorts of names and blah blah blah, but it was just a reel like 30 seconds. But this dude, it's another dude, not the same one as last time. He dedicated me a full 10 minutes long rant on his channel, which is kind of flattering, honestly, because like the thought of me getting under people's skin this, badly, like you could tell that the guy was really, angry at me, was really pissed off. It's kind of like cool, like the more black metal chimps I managed to, provoke, the better it is, because I really can't stand those people. What happened was that you will probably remember how in my last two videos I was talking about the band Acheron, and I was literally quoting one of their interviews for a Finnish fanzine, in which the main man behind the band, namely Vincent Crowley, came up with some rather disgusting and blatantly racist Nazi-like views, which to me was pretty much the nail in the coffin for the reputation of the band on a very personal level. I still kept following them around, bought the following releases, but my interest in them kind of like faded at that point. So I was kind of expecting, to be honest, that the local resident club of right-wing fools that follows me everywhere, whatever I post, I always get trolled by them. They would overreact to it and start trolling my videos like they always do. But little did I know that some dude, and this dude, would actually manage to explore brand new, unexplored depths of black metal idiocy. So, I will not mention his name nor his channel, as I don't want to give this fool any exposure, but let me just sum up what he did, because it's honestly priceless, So, after calling me again all sorts of names, including the R word, which says a lot, what kind of person this dude is, he probably thinks he offended me, but trust me, he did not. If anything, he offended the many people with an intellectual disability, and there are many of them who are perfectly legit metal fans. I met many of them throughout my years at gigs, festivals, and they are much better human beings than this poor, sad excuse for a human being that, use this horrible word. Anyway, after all the insults, what I was really not expecting, and this is where things get completely delusional, is that he actually implied, I kid you not, that I made a whole mag up, the fanzine I was referring to a couple of seconds ago. I made a whole fanzine up just to discredit Acheron. And that was based on the fact that I refused to show the front page of the mag, not to give any publicity to this, fanzine, which is still easily obtainable, but more about it later. But that's not all. I mean, what's even funnier, when I saw it, I was laughing my ass off. I would probably, keep laughing, because this is just, way beyond pathetic. Is that this guy went as far as saying that the magazine doesn't exist at all. He was like, yeah, I knew every magazine around at the time, and this mag, I've never even seen it. And, he said, like, I couldn't find trace of it on Reddit, and that's like the ultimate evidence, according to him, that the magazine doesn't exist. The fact that it's the fact that it's not on Reddit. I mean, can you even, believe the degree of sheer imbecility this guy is portraying? But that's not all. He went far beyond that. Like, he actually took screenshots of my video, and bloody, I kid you not, guys, he said he typed the whole bloody interview on ChatGPT. Asking, he asked GPT if it's a legit interview or if it's made up. Now, guys, this is hands down one of the top 3 unintentionally hilarious exhibitions of black metal stupidity I can think of. Like, the black metal people, they never cease to amaze you, like, whenever you think they can't possibly embarrass themselves more, they always find a way to outscore themselves. So he actually, and there comes the interesting part, he actually challenged me to show the front cover of the magazine or the mag, and he offered me his own apologies in case I managed to pull that off. Now, guys, let me take a deep breath because, like, literally, just, oh my goodness, like, why am I supposed to deal with these people? So, as I explained in the previous video, let's try to get back to normality. As I explained in the previous video, the only reason why I refuse to give more detailed info concerning the fanzine is the fact that it's honestly a pretty disgusting one and doesn't deserve any publicity, even if it's not being published anymore, because even if our friend can find it on the internet, it can still be found in a digital format, in PDF form, if you know where to look for something. Our friend just doesn't have the cognitive skills to do so, but it is still obtainable if you know where to look for. So, I didn't want to give, further exposure to this horrible piece of metal pseudo-journalism, And besides, whoever has been in the scene long enough, I believe this guy probably hasn't been around since the early 90s, has probably recognized the mag already, because it was pretty popular in between 1992 and 1998, which is when the last, you could tell, episode, chapter, issue of the zine, whatever, was published. But anyway, since I want this kind of nonsense to end once and for all, I mean, I know it will not, because these guys will just never accept the truth. I decided, I will lower myself again down to the level of these poor fools and actually show the front cover of this mag, so that at least, like, this guy, doesn't think anymore that I spent days and days, typing stuff and actually printing it just to prove my point. So, this is the mag. I'm still trying not to show the title of it because I don't want to, but it includes interviews with the likes of Bard, Vincent, Fenris, Varg. This is the editor, and on the back side you have some very poor attempt at poetry, which he came up with in 1998. And as for the content of it, you can tell by yourself, it's all a bunch of Nazi shit. It's, there is this manifest in which he advocates the killing of handicapped people. This is the interview which I'm referring to, which is certainly not made up by me, because guess what? I have a life. I'm 50 years old. I have a family. I have a life, and I really don't waste my time printing mags, making up mags just to prove my points, which are obviously there for everyone to see. So, yep, the mag unfortunately does exist, and it can still be found on the internet. Maybe I don't know, I'm tempted to send the guy a link to it so that he can sympathize with the content, because that's, like, I took a quick look at his profile, and you can tell which political side this dude belongs to. So, yep, definitely this mag is not a product of my own imagination. Now, I'm perfectly aware of the fact that this is not gonna convince anyone in that black metal scene, because truth is, the black metal people are just too genuinely dumb to admit when they are wrong, and they will always have like a plan B. Like, for instance, this dude already said something like, so what, even if Vincent is a Nazi, he has a right to be because he did black masses. Kind of like not sure what the logic is between, doing black masses and being a Nazi, and how one is supposed to, give you the right to be the other. Not really sure. Whatever rocks this guy's boat, but it's that's the kind of people they are. Like, even this guy, for instance, he said something like, I don't have black friends. Why should I? I mean, this is the kind of like incel kind of reasoning. What kind of like conversation could I possibly have with a guy like this? It's just not. I really don't want to lower myself any further. Out of sheer curiosity, I checked this profile and channel. Gotta say, I am honestly feeling sorry for this poor bloke, because I believe he's like, 40 to 45, but he looks good 20 years older due to, I believe, alcohol consumption. Also, he looks like he's not doing too well in life from what I'm seeing in the video. Like, his last shower must have been like, 2 weeks ago or something. Obviously obsessed with masculinity. He commented on my nails over and over again, like, let me show them off just for him. This is a personal dedication to him. Like, look how beautiful they are. And he's obsessed, with this tough guy demeanor, which is the, common. If you have any basics of psychology, you'll know this is common within people who don't have a big self-esteem. They keep talking about this whole, like, I'm a true man, you are not. Like in the video, like, he kept saying, like, yeah, I'm a true man, I'm a true alpha male because I'm showing my face on video, you're just talking behind the screen and blah blah blah, which is just completely pointless. But yeah, all that obsession over being, tough guys, over being real men, clearly shows something. Doesn't take Vincent Crowley. I was about to say Vincent Crowley. It doesn't take Sigmund Freud to understand, the lack of self-confidence they are showcasing when they're acting like that. I'm also sorry because these guys, like, they perpetuate the negative stereotypes that metalheads are known for, being like alcoholic losers, and that's not what all metalheads are all about. So I really hope this closes the case. At least for me it certainly does, because I'm done discussing with these sad excuses for human beings. And also, do remember that adage that goes like, don't ever argue with an idiot, he will drag you down to his level and beat you with experience. That pretty much tells you everything about how I view this whole situation. But before closing the episode, let me just send my greetings to this dude. My final greetings to this dude is not hearing from me anymore. Regarding the apologies that he promised me if I showed the picture of the magazine, Mr. Lee, or whatever your name is, don't worry, we are all fine. I don't need your apologies. We are all good friends. Just, do me a favor, like, if possible, get yourself some soap. Get yourself a shower, which you obviously haven't in a long while, because I could literally, feel your stench through the screen as I was watching your video. While doing so, you could take a look at my beautiful nails. Look how nicely painted they are, how clean they are, how amazing they are. You can take inspiration from them. Look at my shiny black polish. Take them as an inspiration for your poor hygiene standards. And there's one of them which I want to dedicate you, and this is it, and it's a loud and heavy one. Till the next time.